Good day, guys, and welcome to Sports with Noble. So, this is why Wole Soyinka seemed to be the wisest and the most brilliant person in Africa. He, in this interview, this is a court setting. It was about the confraternity of the struggle and solidarity that they formed during the 90s. So some of these confraternities now, like they have all these their types. The sole aim of these courts or societies were to guide themselves from um, intimidations from lecturers, school authorities, March for Solidarity. These were the reasons why, and many more good reasons why um, courts were formed then in the 90s in the universities, so that they cannot be intimidated. The students will not be intimidated. So they brought him. Some contemporarily, people have changed the idea. They have changed the meaning of court, and people are now using it to do all sort of things that are not supposed to be. People now even kill, they fight each other, they intimidate others. They now even use court to intimidate students and all that. So I am Wole Soyinka was confronted and approached for that, and he had to defend the original court, the original society they had. So now the difference between that society and the now society is that society was for humanity, was for progress, was for those that are being intimidated by the higher class. But today, confraternity is almost opposite of the whole thing. Even though to them they feel they are doing it to protect themselves and all that. So today, confraternity is presumed to be not what they are supposed to be, because they are diverted from the original aim of confraternities. And now this man was very systematic. The female lawyer. I must applaud her anyway. She was very smart as well, but Wole Soyinka was obviously smarter than her. Wole Soyinka was systematically answering all the questions that he was being thrown at. And in fact, you just know that yes, this man deserves all the awards he's been getting and all that. So let's get to hear him. Is in fact is a very interesting session. Just you enjoy it. Just keep watching. If you love educational stuff, you enjoy this. I promise you, it's something to learn from. And then please say no to cultism, bad cultism actually, because a cult can just be a group of persons and then for solidarity, but it depends on the aim you are going. So please do not forget to like our page on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then share this video to everyone. Share so that everyone will know this. Everyone will know the difference between the right court and the secret court. Share it out, please. Thank you. This is Sports with Noble.
Professor Soyinka, I think we'll start from where my learned friend stopped. Can you take a look at Exhibit 2, page 3?
Yes.
Can you read the area that mentions Mr. Abdul Kadir, Musa Abdul Kadir?
The Rivers State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Abdul Kadir Musa, who was the commanding officer, 1 Amphibious Brigade, was on hand to receive the suspects, in quotation.
Thank you, sir. Sir, where were you between February 1977, 97, and September 98.
Oh, in exile.
You were in exile. So you were not in Nigeria when that event occurred?
Nope.
So you only wrote what you were told?
Absolutely.
Thank you,
what
sir.
I investigated.
Thank you, sir. Sir, you are one of the founding fathers of the pirate confraternity. And your name, your piratical name, sir, is Captain Blood. Correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Sir, you also said whilst reading your petition that the Nigerian public has demonized the pirate confraternity, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. You are, sir, the life chairman and spiritual head of the pirate confraternity.
No. I'm given all sorts of titles, but certainly not life chairman. Some kind of title involving spiritual head, spiritual advisor. It's not even codified. It's not.
But you
structured.
are the spiritual head.
No, I'm telling you by what names I'm sometimes referred.
Okay.
But certainly doesn't include life chairman. We try to avoid. So.
Okay, sir, but members of your fraternity are expected to get spiritual inspiration from you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So I will be correct to say, sir, that the pirate confraternity is both a spiritual and a humanitarian confraternity?
Because somebody is considered a spiritual inspiration does not mean that it's a spiritual organization that considers him so. It's two different things.
What does it mean?
Spiritual is something nebulous. When you run out of words, I don't know what to do.
Sir, I would like to appeal to you, sir, to use simple English so that we can understand.
Nebulous means something you cannot really lay hold of. It's a vague expression. You see, a spiritual organization has to do with religion, for instance, with spirituality. I can guarantee you that the Paris Confraternity contains all kinds of religions, from traditional to Muslims, Christians. So obviously, it cannot have a religion. That's the distinction I'm trying to make.
Thank you, sir. You would agree with me, sir, that your name and person lends some kind of credibility to your association?
Yes, I suppose so.
Thank you. Sir, you would agree with me as a lecturer, a university lecturer, that parents send their children to schools to become better, responsible people and to go to... You would agree with me, sir, that parents send their children to schools to become proper, well-educated citizens of this country, and they're not expected to participate in drinking of alcohol and other things that could mislead them?
I think you're taking a very puritanic view of what university education is like, very narrow. To say that a grown-up youth who can be sent to war at any time cannot drink moderately in the university, I disagree absolutely with you.
So while saying that the public has mistakenly addressed your organization as demonic, what would you term a name as Captain Blood, Evil Jesus, Evil Crucifix, Holy Satan, Lucifer the Sampler, Jesus Iscariot, Islamic Pope, Devil Angelica, faithful Judas, and devil's alternative.
I used an expression here in my petition in which I referred to the organization as one with many idiosyncrasies. One of these idiosyncrasies is not to take themselves too seriously, to in fact have a spirit of self-deflation. It's a kind of homeopathy. In other words, you actually can give yourself a name which in fact is the very opposite of what you're supposed to be. It is part of the nature of fraternities.
Sir, you will agree with me that a name can influence the life of somebody.
Depending on what the name means for the bearer. There's an expression which goes thus: it's not what you call me, but what name I answer to. And that means what is the meaning behind the name.
So you will agree with me, sir, that Lucifer the sampler can affect the life of the bearer of that name?
No, only it is immature and subject to what we call hypnotic suggestion.
Sir,
and those who admitted to the Paris Confraternity are beyond that.
Professor Soyinka, are your children members of this confraternity?
Yes, my son, Olaokun, is a member. He was initiated. He's a member of the Zero Meridian. That's the chapter in London. Yes, yes.
You also said, Professor Wole Soyinka, that membership is open to well-meaning individuals of the public. Correct?
Yes, indeed, but very strictly, vetted. Very strictly vetted.
Are women and disabled members of your association?
Disabled, yes. One of our most prominent members, I can't remember his name now, maybe somebody can remind me. In fact, yes. He gave himself the piratical name Wheelchair, Ahoy Wheelchair, because he was permanently on wheelchair. See, that's the kind of sense of humor which people have, that they don't mind, making fun of themselves. Women are not admitted, but that is because the organization decided to be an all-male character. The Boy Scouts do not...
Sir, I will be correct to say that women are not members of your organization because we cannot carry out the violent requirements that you require to be a member of the pirate confraternity.
I will respond to that by saying that there are many women affiliates who actually accompany their husbands, their boyfriends to many of the functions and actually take pride in the membership of their spouses.
But they are not members.
They're not full members, no.
Thank you. Professor Soyinka, your organization, you claim, is registered.
Yes.
Your
Yes,
organization is registered.
It's registered.
Can you take a look at this certificate of incorporation, sir, and confirm to this commission
Yes, this looks like a copy of the real thing.
Can you take a look, sir, at the conditions and directions? Under the signature.
Yes.
Can you read it to this commission?
This certificate is liable to cancellation should the objects or the rules of the body be changed without the previous consent in writing of the minister, or should the body at any time permit or condone any divergence from or breach of such objects and rules.
You will agree with me, sir, that the ideals of your organization are no longer what it was meant to be.
Oh, I disagree, absolutely.
You disagree?
Oh, no, disagree.
Sir, you know a certain Dr. Olagundori. Agunloye.
Agunloye,
yes, he is one of your members and one of the founding fathers of your organization. He was quoted as saying that he's surprised that the students now in campuses have derailed from the ideals for which your organization was set up. And you have also, you even said it last week or something at a convocation ceremony, that they have changed the ideals of the fraternities.
Yeah, they began. These are other organizations. They have not changed the ideals of the Paris Confraternity. No, but they claimed to be fraternities. And I say that these are not what fraternity is about. So these are totally different organizations.
Professor Soyinka, you are aware that universities have prescribed the activities of your association on their campuses.
I'm sorry, you're wrong. The Paris Confraternity voluntarily withdrew on orders from campuses because they were sick and tired of being confused with the evil cults. They withdrew. The date, at least 12 years ago, 15 years ago, they withdrew voluntarily.
Professor Soyinka, are you aware that sometime in 1972, the Ahmadu Bello University prescribed the activities of the Pirate Confraternity because 2 students died after the initiation ceremony of the Pirate Confraternity?
I'm not aware of any such story.
Well, Professor Soyinka, the universities prescribed your organization because they believed that it was not in the interest of national security and it was not in the interest of public safety and public order.
May I repeat something which I said in an interview recently? These very vice chancellors who have prescribed certain organizations, I'm not saying I agree with what you've just said. It's amazing that many of them are responsible for the furthering of these secret cults on campuses. I mean, this is on record, and if you call for the security reports, you'll find the case of vice chancellors who in fact employed these secret cult members as their bodyguards. They use them to harass the progressive lecturers. They use them even to throw the luggage, the property of these progressive lecturers, I refer to the University of Benin, for instance, one of the most notorious, into the streets. So you see, when authorities give reasons sometimes why they prescribe certain organizations, it's very important to have independent commissions sometimes to look into the real reason behind them.
Okay, Professor Wole Soyinka, you also said whilst giving testimony here that your organizations contributed, donated blood. What landmark contribution has your organization made to Nigeria in terms of fighting against tribalism, for which was one of your objectives? What have you done since 1952 besides donating blood?
Among the many activities, I spoke about symposia, which usually take place during Converge. The theme changes every year, and the public is always invited to participate in the symposia because part of the functions of fraternity is to educate the public and to reorientate the minds of the public. Give you one other instance of the functions of the activities of this organization. It unilaterally looked into the fraudulent activities of the toll gates at the very beginning of the installation of toll gates, discovered that millions were going down the drain, and received, in fact, a letter of commendation and thanks from the Ministry of Works. The various activities of the confrat are numerous. I just don't want to, go through the whole list. And when you talk about what have they done to reduce tribalism, is this something one can really measure, beyond symposia, beyond showing example by their own way of life? Is there something they could do beyond that?
Professor Soyinka, will it surprise you to know that in course of the initiations of your members, they are given a concoction known as Bloody Mary, which also contains weed, blood, and other things?
You see, this is part of the gross mythification that takes place in public. And I'm really distressed that this is being presented to me almost like a statement of fact. In the handbook of the piratical organization, which I hope will be presented here, you will find that drunkenness earns what is known as one of the punitive spots, and the various grades of spots in which you are, you collect very many and you are booted out permanently. The smoking of weed is simply not permitted. However, vis-a-vis this habit of calling things by the wrong name, you'll find that the word weed is used.
Thank you.
And you'll find it means cigarette.
Well, sir, take a look at this. The requirements for lovers. The first page.
Well, this is not my document, and I would rather not be associated. I would rather this came through whoever prepared it. It's important for me to state here, by the way, that there have been so-called initiations into Paris confraternity held throughout the... we unmasked, for instance, a syndicate which was charging quite a substantial amount of money for allegedly initiating people into the Paris confraternity. And it was a totally non-existent deck, as we call it. This is one of the reasons I don't want to... I would rather you show it to...
So, sir, I am sure that you will agree with me that a lot of activities have taken place by members of your association without your notice.
Oh, of course. But what I'm saying is that even by non-members,
That's okay, sir.
By non-members.
That's okay, sir. Sir, you also served during the regime of Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, correct?
Said what, sorry?
You served under General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida.
No, I did not.
You did, sir.
I did not.
You served as the head of the Road Safety Corps.
What you see, again, we're in the problem of use of expression. I don't consider serving the nation to reduce road accidents free of charge, without any salary, without any allowances, using my own office and sometimes my own resources. I do not consider
But
that
it was
serving under.
It was during his regime.
During. I served the nation during.
Sir, it was also, I am surprised, sir, that it was during that regime that your literary colleague, Maman Vatsa, was executed.
It was during that regime, yes.
How can you reconcile, sir, serving or being associated with Ibrahim Babangida, who we all know caused a lot of violations in Nigeria? How can you reconcile that with your quest for human rights?
Let me remind you that I invented the Road Safety Corps in Nigeria, and I did it under or during a military regime, the military regime of Olusegun Obasanjo. For me, there were certain issues, including issues of life and death, which transcended certain considerations, at least on a temporary level in this nation. May I remind you that the first Road Safety Corps, which was instituted in this country, was destroyed under a civilian regime, the regime of Shehu Shagari. In other words, you find that sometimes military regimes, in certain aspects, can act or respond in a humanitarian level, which it seems from what happened that even civilian regimes don't seem capable of. So since I was not earning one kobo under Babangida, and as I always said, I was prepared to throw out the regime from my office anytime, I had absolutely no problem of contradiction, especially as it was a continuation of something which I began under a military regime.
Sir, I would be correct to say that if you had the opportunity, you would have done the same thing under the regime of